Welcome everyone back to Survivor Now Stockwatch. Sorry for laughing abruptly there. We have a new intro. Josh, did you know about the new intro?
No, I think that was the first time that I've seen that intro too.
I was not ready for that. The glorious, amazing Randy truly been working hard for us. Anywho, it's the premiere. It's where we're doing the thing, and Survivor is back on screen. We now Thank you, Abraham.
There we go.
Always a pleasure. Anywho, we were here on Monday night. We were talking, doing our preseason rankings. A lot of the things we said kind of aged kind of well. I ain't gonna lie. I thought we cooked for a bit. We were also dead wrong about a lot of things and a lot of players. I do need to apologize to a player later on, but we will get to him way later down the line. And when I say way down the line, I'm saying way down the line.
I think I know who you're talking about too.
I was not prepared. But Josh, what did you think about the premiere, man? Let's jump right into it.
To be honest, I really liked it. I felt coming into this season that this was going to be a season that was going to be played a little bit more old school. We were going to be focusing more on alliances, who's with who, are their pairings. I felt there would be more strategy. There would be less physical threats. I mean, there's a lot of people who really embody that stereotype of, hey, I'm going to be a physical competitor coming right in. And there's a lot of people who surprised me when I thought, hey, this is how I thought that they were going to play this game, and it was completely 180 from how it actually was perceived in that first episode. So I'm really excited.
and JE immediately best premiere of the new era so far.
Okay, that's not a hot take. I would have to. I'm sorry, I may have to agree with it. I don't look. This is a hot take. And I'm sorry if this may offend anybody who's, within the Survivor community, but that was probably my favorite episode 1, New Era. I don't know what about it really struck with me, but it was chaotic at the beginning. We saw a lot of people playing the game early.
Well, do you know what part of it was that I think it was? I think the game didn't really mess with itself too much. A lot of the chaos that ensued, it really stemmed from the players and a lot of the actions they took. Because you still have all the hallmarks, right? We have the adventure, we have the challenges, and we have, all of that. But it was so self-contained that I think it let the cast really shine. And I want to disagree, but it's like there's no other good premiere except for maybe 45, but then Hannah Rose quits. If Hannah didn't quit, I would say that's better. And I think as the episode went on, it got even better and better. And off the bat, immediately, we're getting a lot of deep, enriching personality and personal content, stuff that you would see down the line, And instead of, having these emotional beats at the resolution of a lot of storylines, it's the immediate climax or the immediate jump. So I'm really excited to see where this season takes us. And speaking of taking us places, Josh, do you just want to jump right into the whole thing?
Oh, wow. I mean, I don't know where we'd start. I mean, are we going at the bottom, like 18 at the ranking?
We could talk about Stephanie. I do apologize for the lack of the cutouts and the imagery that we usually use. Someone didn't set up their schedule properly. My fault, and it will be back. I do apologize. But let's talk about Stephanie. What happened to Stephanie? Because you were high on Stephanie for a while. You were really high.
Preseason, her rank was 6th overall. I thought she was going to get 6th place. Now, I actually really liked Stephanie. She came in, she wanted to play, and she wanted to play. She was showing in her confessionals that she was looking for that group to work with. What I think she didn't realize was that Say was coming after her. And There was a moment in her confessional where she said that she was really eager to make a move, but she wanted to stay back. I think she would have been a great player if she got an opportunity to play the game with an alliance that had her back. But ultimately, I feel like she put too much trust into Kevin. And because Kevin was playing the middle ground and she was kind of hoping for that vote, she may have felt some sort of feeling at Tribal that, hey, maybe I got to play my shot in the dark. The votes are not in my favor this evening.
Yeah, I don't even think it started with Kevin. I do just think she trusted Say too much, because she even talked about how Say was not trustworthy. She's, looking around and doing this, that, the other thing. And to me, I just felt like she played very corporate, which is kind of what I thought she would do initially as well. But like, she talked about what she had to do, and then immediately the edit showed that she didn't do that, right? So she started out saying like, I need to move, I need to make connections, I need to do this, that, the other thing. But then it's like, Say's like, hey, what do you want to, like, how do we want to go about this? And and Stephanie was like, I want to know about you as a person, which works out a lot of the time. But when you have a player who's as active and playing as hard as Say is right now, then that can lead you in the dust. And she got left behind really quickly with Mary. And, Justin seems a little more passive. Kevin, it's hard for him to go against an established group of 4 versus a almost group of 3,
Yeah.
And we also have a comment from Jay. Steph didn't fit in on Vula, or it wouldn't have fit in on Vula, but got unlucky. And do you agree that if she got on another cast, another tribe, another season, another group, she could have survived? But I feel like you could say that about anyone.
I'd say probably if there was a tribe, I would trust Siva. I would say Siva would probably be the best chance to survive this season if there was like some sort of, switch up. We moved anybody. Yeah, it's hard to say that because we really didn't get to see so much of Steph playing, but Say had a really big edit. It felt like everything that was going on Vula was, that reward challenge for the pot and machete. Yep. And say, looking for that idol, putting in the work. What I saw with that, and you know what? We'll get into that later down the line when we get on those players. But there's a lot to talk about with the dynamics on Vula. There's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're a messy tribe right now.
I would say, I mean, we even talked about that originally. We thought Vula would be the underdog tribe. And is that right? 21 confessionals?
That's she kind of insane. The first episode. Somebody else brought up to me and said, hey, Say had a lot for the first episode, but we've seen this before. Just because you have a lot of confessionals in the beginning of the game, probably you're just showing that you are a bigger character in the pre-merge. Say has a really big target on her back, playing that hard, finding an idol that quickly. And the biggest mistake, I personally would not have told everyone that I had an idol or I had some clue to an idol. I think, you can earn trust with that. But from the edit that we're seeing, there are 2 people that are trying to play both sides on Vula right now. And that can be a little bit dangerous, especially when we saw that little, here's what we're looking at next episode. It seems like Kevin is pushing at Say for next episode. Seems like that alliance isn't as tight as it seems. So right now, that's a chaotic tribe. I don't think they have all their eggs in the basket.
Oh yeah, and Joseph too. I think Steph got a little in her head too, because I think Stephanie's problem is she knew that she could play hard, and so she wanted to sit on her hands. She said that I think 3 times this episode. And so I think she was like, I'm going to go into this game. I'm going to be very chaotic. I'm going to play hard. So I got to lay back because I don't want a big target on my back. But like in a tribe with like Kevin and Justin, and like Mary's there with her. Like she needed to play a lot harder and to respond to Say, and she didn't. And we'll get to Say too. We'll get to Say
I think
in a little bit.
Keeping Say is a great move on Justin and Kevin's part, only because she is a shield. However, the problem is now you didn't make Say feel uncomfortable enough to play that idol and still get Steph out. Now you're going to have to make a decision. And we'll get into that when we get to those players, but I don't know what the next average is, but I have a player that's at 17 that I see. I'm not sure if that's what we're going based off of right now.
It's not the player you're thinking of. We are jumping strip to the Loggy tribe. Let's talk about Star. What's going on with Star? Star, admittedly, is the lowest ranking, just straight up, because I have who you have at 17. I have her a little higher. I see a bit more of a ceiling for her.
Okay.
But Star, we both have at, I think, 16 and 17, respectively.
Yeah, I have Star at 16. Yeah. I only put Star at 16 because my 17 player just went to Tribal, and I perceive them to be at the bottom. So it's a little bit more of a defined, this is where the line's drawn in the sand. But ultimately, Star is at the bottom of this power ranking right now after episode 1. Star is not in an alliance and is the only person on the Loggy tribe who does not have a number 1 that's looking after them. I mean, we got the California girls, and we got 2 people in the California girls that have a +1 outside of that alliance, leaving Star in a very, very dangerous position. So Star either needs to up this game or find somebody who wants to bring her in.
Oh, yeah. And I think with Star, too, is that too many social faux pas as well. I think looking for the advantage way too early on. And even when we hear from Star, she's not really saying anything in particular. She feels very slow in the game, slow in the draw. Because, again, there's 2 established duos, an established alliance of 3. And I'm not saying Star's not doing it, but we're not seeing Star trying to make any connections with anyone, and it's just her looking for idols and advantages, which makes all the other players go, hey, she clearly doesn't have anyone because she's looking for an idol or an alliance. And I can see that, Jay, but I think the trajectory of Loggy is that they are going to not go to Tribal at all. I think Star could be like maybe like Tim Spicer from 46, maybe not, but like the player who was just on the bottom but never went to Tribal and then got swiftly, or Tiana from last season. Like Tiana was always kind of on the bottom, and for a while I just kind of wrote her off as we'll get voted out eventually. And then she did. And I see Star following the same trajectory. I'm sorry for stuttering over my words. But do you think Star can get out of it though, Josh?
I do. What I'm loving from the Loggy tribe is that, I mean, I love the California Girls Alliance, but what's really more intriguing is that I see a war coming between that alliance, specifically between Joe and Thomas, because at some point, those 2 are going to want to pitch why Eva or Bianca should stay over the other. And I think that is going to be the red herring. They're going to be so focused on which girl to keep that it's going to ultimately end up being what guy to take out. So this is where I think if Star wants to shake up the game, you need to get the girls together and get out Thomas. That's where I think it's going
already going for the jugular.
I don't think that Eva is going to I think Eva is going to protect Joe more than Thomas. And I feel like it's Eva's word that's going to stand higher than Bianca's. Because I feel like Eva would have a higher social status standing, within the tribe. I talked about this in preseason. When we did our preseason rankings, I said Eva is the youngest on a tribe where a lot of people could be old enough to be someone's like parent. And I thought if Eva could find somebody that could be a father figure like character for her out on the island, that sort of relationship is what's going to protect her and keep her safe. And right now we found something so genuine this season that honestly, I don't think that either of them, I mean, Joe, I think he will die for this girl. I think he will. I think he will sacrifice the game for her.
I think so too. And that's we'll get to Joe and Eva a lot
we're gonna get
farther down the line. But no, I don't know where Loggie's going to go. I honestly think that they will win out, and except for episode 3. I think episode 3 they're going to lose a challenge, and I think they just vote out Star because I think they know their strength. Because just look at the California girls. Like they are a very strong tribe.
They can run the game.
Oh yeah, just physically. And then Eva was no slouch whatsoever, just continuously grabbing bamboo, just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Star was talked about for being physically fit. The only person we didn't see much of is Bianca, but even then it's like she doesn't look like a slouch. not over like Cedric or Kevin. So I think they will be fine no matter what.
I agree. I think Loggy, right now, they've shown that they are the tribe to beat.
Do you know who's not fine, though, right now?
Is it who it was who I thought was going to be 7?
No.
Oh, hold up. I got to check my list.
I'm breaking your heart with this one.
Is it Charity?
It's Charity. It is Charity.
Oh, Charity.
So what happened to Charity? I'm gonna let you start the floor because
Camilla made a great move, right?
Yep.
Camilla said in her confessional, I feel like Camilla's the type of player who, would get a little bit nervous at being the first vote. And Camilla said, I want to pin another target on this tribe, anybody but me. So when Charity brought up that little conversation, what happens if we lose, and starts nudging at Kyle? I mean, Camilla was talking very highly about Kyle, and it seemed like they had a connection going. So Camilla and Kyle might be looking after each other, and threw Charity right on the bottom. Now, I have Charity higher than some of the people who I believe to be on the bottom of their tribe. And I say that because I feel like Charity has not done enough for her not to be integrated within the tribe and to work with the tribe. They got a strong group. And I think that, Charity can go to a Mitch and integrate themselves to figure something out. I mean, we've seen how David can act. We know what his strategy is going to be in this game. And we see it sort of as a kind of a chaotic game I see approaching. But I feel like there is more wiggle room for Charity to move in as opposed to Star or the person who I wrote down on the bottom of Vula. I think Charity can make it through. I think she can.
I think she totally can. It's just we didn't hear from Charity enough. I feel like if you're on the bottom and you make it far, because we've seen that, right? Like we think of Marianne, a classic pre-merge underdog who came into her own. And I think Charity could follow a very similar trajectory if she chose to, obviously villain coded as well. But we did not hear from her, I think, at all between on Siva. Siva was very shafted because a lot of the coming and goings really revolved around Mitch, Kyle in the challenge, Camilla and Kyle's relationship, and then Chrissy here and there, and a little bit of David nonsense. Charity, more than anyone else, especially on Siva, did not have any screen time. So I don't know if they're just trying to save her for later. Maybe she does survive and come out on her own. We've seen that before. Think of Liz Wilcox, right? Yeah. Survivor 46. Mm-hmm. She had no screen time. We'd never heard from her. And so when we thought Nami, we're thinking Liz is going to go. and then all of a sudden she's in the final 5, flipping out about Applebee's.
Can I actually bring up a take right now that I just thought of?
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is the perfect way after episode 1 to kind of break down how the dynamics are going. I see Vula as every single tribal they go to moving forward as a group. It's always going to be a different group of people working together. The alliances are going to shake up always. It's always going to be a new group. It's always going to be adapting and evolving. I see Siva as we see this core 4 that was made in day 1. However, I don't think that that's going to be the majority alliance when they actually go to tribal. I think with more information in time, they're going to learn a little bit more about each other and realize that there are bigger threats on that tribe than Charity. And when we go to Lagi, I think that tribe is probably going to be the strongest alliance, the one that's going to stick together the longest and is going to be more of a loyal game until they have to play a little bit more cutthroat.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like just fluid is the best word to really describe it. I mean, even then though, just modern Survivor in general, it relies less off just an alliance of 4 or 3 sticking together, because you have the Reba 4, and then I'll give you the Yanu 3.
I think that's why I was most excited about this season premiere, was because we haven't seen a core 4 that's really been strong since the Reba 4. And we saw 2 alliances of 4 be made this last episode that just released.
True. I mean, yeah, but even then it's been 2 seasons, so it's like
I know, but it feels like ages. It feels like so long to see like an alliance that really can stick it out and hold out. I don't know. I don't know if Siva's going to have that. I really still feel like there's more room for Mitch. I feel like there's more story to tell there. And I don't want to count him out because, I know the Charity's on the bottom. I also perceive that Mitch is on the bottom just because he's not in that alliance. But I still feel like that alliance is going to shake up. Something's going to give on that tribe.
Oh, yeah. And I could see that. I totally can. And I think we'll get to Mitch and the rest of Siva when we get to them. But speaking of shaking up, we're talking Sai now. Now we can finally talk.
Wow. This is the average that we have for Sai?
I have Sai last. No, I have Sai 16th.
Okay, I have Sai at 12. I had her a little bit higher. I mean, we have to consider she still has an idol. That's gonna get her somewhere. I mean, now that Say knows that her name is out. I mean, Say is gonna be a lot more careful about playing that idol next tribal council she goes to. She's aware now. She knows where she stands, but the fact that someone voted for Say, knowing how Say plays, Say is going to realize it's Mary, and Say is going to want blood, meaning Say is going to be pushing for that. But this is where we saw that little, next time on Survivor, Kevin looks to be backing Mary, which means that Kevin's true intentions is his relationship with Mary. So there's a war coming, but who's going to get the bullet? Are they going to put it on Mary or are they going to put it on Kevin? Somebody's going to get hit, and it's not going to be Say.
I think I do see that. I don't think she goes out next. I do think her win equity, though, is so far down the drain right now because I think at best we're looking at a redemption arc. At best. And I do my rankings more of who I can see as the eventual winner, like who I think has the best equity. And so I'm not saying that that Say is going to, get voted out next or the round after. But when you are coming out the gates, swinging as hard as you are right now, like there's been Rome comparisons already. Like, what do you say about the Rome comparisons?
Yeah. I see it. I mean, playing hard, looking for those advantages early, trying to make the alliances. I mean, you can show your loyalty and your trust to people by sharing information in the game for so long, but it gets to a point where you're playing so hard. It makes me question if I'm in an alliance with you, I don't want to get hit at the merge when you decide to flip because you want to play. I don't want to get stabbed. I have to worry about you. But again, it's still so early in the game that you are a big threat. You're my shield. Your name's always going to be out there. If I can put myself in a good standing where you're still my shield, then why not keep you? Why wouldn't I want to keep you in the game right now? You have the least chance of winning after that. Well, I mean, you're playing hard. You have more leverage, but I don't know if people are really going to respect it because it's really been all say.
At the same time, though, just because you have a lot of focus on you and people perceive you as having no iniquity, that doesn't mean that you become the best shield. Because, and I'm getting to this too, Jay saying that Say is going to come back to Survivor 50 because they have a deep run. I disagree. I think Say could end up like Banu in a way.
Oh, no, not like Banu. I love
not
Banu.
not in terms of like acting the same, but the trajectory in the game where way too hard, way too much, way too fast. I think Say is going out soon. And I think that she is TV gold. I think she's causing a lot of chaos. And so they need to shine a light on that. And I think having 21 confessionals so early on is more indicative of that because Q didn't have the most amount of screen time early 46. Like he had enough. And you know what, Jay, because you said that Say is coming back to Survivor 50, I'll play the crackpot.
Boom.
And Brian too. Shout out to you, Brian. What's up? Vula feels like lava with Say being Rome, Stephanie being Aisha. Who's who?
Who's who on Vula? It's hard to kind of pick who's like hated, like Saul, or that. I guess Mary would be the Saul on this tribe, only because Rome went after Saul. So I kind of sense that coming, and I can see Say going after Mary after that vote. So I'd say Saul would be Mary in this case scenario. Kevin would be Genevieve.
Yeah. Justin's Keyshawn, lock it in.
I guess
I'm down with that.
Keyshawn, I guess Justin's Keyshawn. Yeah, that fits pretty well. I would actually say it's a pretty good comparison.
I mean, I was gonna say Mary would be the Keyshawn then because Keyshawn and Aisha, they were tight, and so assuming that Mary gets picked off next because of the idol fears,
Justin's Genevieve. We'll swap. Justin will be Genevieve.
Yeah, Justin's Genevieve. Shout out to Justin.
I mean, Justin's in everything. I mean, when we talk about Justin, we'll talk about that. But I actually think Justin's gameplay is going to catch up to him. I don't feel like he's playing all sides, but he doesn't have something that's really genuine for him. And that's where I think Say has Cedric, Kevin has Mary, but this could be another situation. Oh my God. This could be another situation. If Kevin and Mary are together and Say and Cedric stick together, Justin's going to be the swing vote as to who goes.
Yeah.
And Say's going to have the idol. So it's going to be, is it Kevin or Mary going?
And I mean, at this point, we can talk about both Mary and Justin because we both have Mary at 14, Justin at 13.
Oh,
and I
really?
think the way we talk about Vula in general is very like, we can't talk one without the other. We could start with Mary because I know you have Mary low.
I had Mary at 17. Again, I only put Mary there because that's the only, line in the sand that we've seen so far this season. We know Mary is at the bottom. It's not looking good. So, I love Mary. I think Mary is intuitive. Mary is spot on. Mary knew that Say wasn't somebody to really be trusted. And that's true because Say wasn't really considering Mary as an ally. I
Yeah.
mean, there was conversation where Say wanted to play the game hard, but was having that with Steph and Mary and kind of made a whole 4-person alliance without those two. So Say seemed to be trying to stay good with the girls while also protecting herself within a 4-person alliance with all the guys and herself. And Say played a really good, like, networking out, making sure, I'm going to be good, but it rubbed wrong on Mary. Now, Mary was correct in thinking that Say is somebody to get out. And I hope that more people back it up because, I mean, Say does have a lot of power right now. And if I Mary, do what you have to do to get out Say, or figure out a way to pin it on another target. Maybe blindside Cedric. If you can get your Kevin and Justin to blindside Cedric, have Say waste an idol, big move. Now Mary's on the top of that, and that's her move that she made.
Yeah, I think Mary's position seems a lot worse than what it actually is right now. Because I think she's getting shielded right now in terms of the narrative. Because I think there is a war that's going to happen, but Mary seems way too aware of what's going on around her. She knows that Say can't be trusted. And I even think voting with Stephanie helps Mary out because I think Kevin can go to Mary and be like, hey, like, I'm sorry, but Justin just wasn't there. He did not trust Stephanie. And he can even just say, like, Say has an idol and Justin was worried about a misplay and this, that, the other thing. And so I think Mary has a lot of maneuverability. I also think her being called a duo with Kevin, that was something that was stated in the episode. It wasn't just we're talking about duos, and on Vula, like, that is the duo. Because Say doesn't really have a duo.
I would say that is the duo. That is really the only, one-on-one connection that feels the strongest on that tribe. So I would say I agree. But when we talk about Justin, I feel like Justin really doesn't have anyone. He's got his hand in a whole bunch of baskets, but when he flip-flops and switches alliances, that's just what I feel like is going to happen because Jeff said it perfectly at Tribal Council. You ultimately can't put your hands in all of the baskets because when you play all sides, you can't you can't prove your loyalty to anyone. You have to pick a side at some point in Survivor, and it's really hard to do that. You have to say, I'm with these people, and ultimately that's what gets you in the end. But if you keep flip-flopping, you're just switching your alliance every time, but you're always on the bottom. You're always on the bottom.
I also think we just didn't hear from Justin as much, despite him being in a really pivotal position. He seems very passive as a player right now, and that sucks because I think if he put a little more intention into his game, then I think he would be in the best position overall on the Vula tribe. I just don't think he knows it because he's too busy saying, Say told me about the idol, so I trust Say, and that's
unless
great.
That's his gameplay, unless he hasn't really spoke about it too much in his confessional where he's trying to play a low-key game because he feels like he can play that strategic level. If Justin can play this way and then all of a sudden turn it up, he can become one of the big players this season. I could see it. There's room, and Justin is going to be in a great spot moving forward. I have Justin and Cedric in probably the best spot on this tribe right now. I think that he can definitely make it work. I think Justin definitely survives the next tribal council Vula goes to, and that's the only person I can say has a real shot at surviving, or at least the highest percentage of surviving the next vote.
And apparently too, Mary was told, or Kevin told Steph that Mary was his number 1 and Steph is his number 2. So Mary just got blindsided by her supposed number one, which how would that work out for Mary? I know we're talking about Justin for a bit.
Well, I knew that. I mean, like you've obviously just shown somebody who had a number one with you that you voted against them. But like, here's the thing. Here's how I feel like you can work that out. Mary's still on the bottom. Mary has no one, which means Mary still has to keep doors open. So Mary still needs to find people to work with, and people are still going to come to Mary and want to talk. I think what you said, Will, is great. Go to Mary. Tell them, hey, Say has an idol and we are afraid of a misplay. We thought we had her comfortable to play the idol and we were going to vote out Steph. It was going to be a flushed idol and we can look for it. That conversation with Justin still could be in play. We just didn't see the edit where, Kevin was suggesting, hey, let's try and flush the idol and find it for ourselves. So I think that that's still in play. Just Say went into the voting booth and immediately said right before the vote, I have a feeling Steph played the shot in the dark. So Say had that intuition already coming in that, you know what, if Steph plays the shot in the dark and it's not safe, that's 5 votes. I'm good because I trust Justin and Cedric who were there when I found the idol. Yeah. Kevin wasn't there. Kevin wasn't there at all. I thought that was surprising. It was Justin and Cedric who were with Say when that idol was found. So that should say something. That should say something.
And
just saying.
So again, it's not over for Mary. I understand why you have her so low, but like it looks a lot worse than what it is because there's so many different exits and paths and avenues. And I think Kevin is competent enough to work his way out of it. Just saying, was that
yeah, I said that was the whole point. I was just saying, okay. I'm just saying.
I completely did not. I didn't catch on. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so sorry. Josh is already making puns, guys.
I came in here and I said, I'm just saying that's gonna be the topic every Thursday. We're gonna have a new segment called "I'm Just Saying."
I'm just saying
why Say is gonna win this game.
That's her podcast name. When she, when the NDA clears and she's able to make her own Survivor podcast, that is. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Oh God, I'm getting one upped by Josh already. This is not looking good, guys. Anywho,
it's there. Say needs to market this. If Say becomes a big character, I'm telling you, that's the thing.
That's
I'm just saying, like
that. She's going to say that at some point. That like Say and Star both have the most amount of room to make puns.
Honestly, and they were making puns on Vula with the stars. The stars line. I thought that was funny too. I'm like, do you not realize there's another player named Star?
Named Star.
So anywho, who's the next person on our list? I feel like we talked a lot about
Bianca. Let's talk Bianca.
Bianca. Really, where do you have Bianca?
I have Bianca kind of high actually.
Okay.
I have Bianca at number 9.
I have her at 13. Here's why. I love Bianca. I think Bianca is a great character for the season I feel like this is inappropriate, but the minuscule amount that we've really seen from her this season so far, not too many confessionals, but I say that because I was imagining this battle on Loggy where we have the California girls and we have Joe and Thomas fighting over who's going to stay. If Star's the next to go on Loggy and it's a simple, straightforward vote, who's going to be the 4th to this alliance? Is it going to be Eva or is it going to be Bianca? And I feel like we had a better edit for Joe and Eva's relationship in this game as opposed to Thomas and Bianca. Now, I did realize, I think Bianca mentioned this in her confessional. She was always looking for a day one, and her day one was Thomas. So we know that those two are locked in, but Thomas right now, I feel alliance-wise, is probably in the best spot. Only because I feel like Thomas is a player who socially is good with everyone, can get
Yep.
along with everyone. Thomas really proved me wrong. I had Thomas so low
Really low.
season,
Yep.
and now Thomas is so high for me now after seeing how good of a social player Thomas is going to be this game. I'm really excited to see Thomas play, but I ultimately think that it's going to be Joe who's going to be able to trump Eva, and maybe it starts with an idol, but I think I know who's going to get the idol on that tribe. We'll get to that player later.
I actually don't know who you're thinking of, and so I'm excited.
Okay,
You know,
I'll save that then.
I think Bianca right now is just not her own player and isn't really involved in any which way to the story. And so I feel like she's kind of a sidekick to Thomas right now.
Yes.
And I think Thomas makes a really deep run. And I think that I do think that part of his story begins with an early Bianca blindside. I do think that blindside happens. I think that happens after Star goes, or maybe even before, but I feel like Star is so wrapped around negative content and so against the grain in the Loggy way. And I also think Loggy is just that strong of a group. And I think that Thomas having the California Girls Alliance and being good with Shaheen as well is going to save him and is what separates him from Bianca. And there's also just not much to say about Bianca or even Loggy in general. I feel like Loggy had the second most amount of screen time this episode, and a lot of it, I think, revolved around the California Girls Alliance.
You know what's going to suck, though? For Thomas, Thomas is, I perceive him as such a great social player that I still feel like he'd be all right if he just let Bianca go.
I think he will.
I think if he was just to say, listen, I feel like Shaheen and Joe really feel good with me. Like, if I leave Bianca, I mean, everybody's going to trust Thomas. It seems like he's good with everybody, but, you're going to have to lose somebody. He's really shown that he's trying to push for Bianca. However, I feel like he's just the type of person who can really adapt socially to any environment. He is the Tevin of the season. The social butterfly is going to get along with everybody, and he's going to be a major social threat in this game. Social,
and then gets voted out at like 12th place.
I think
8th place.
I think the way Thomas is going to get out this season, if he doesn't get all the way to the end, is it's going to be a blindside on Thomas because of how social Thomas is. I really strongly believe that. I mean, Thomas has it all. He's got a great alliance. He's in well. I mean, he doesn't even need an idol right now, and he's still going to be safe for the next tribal. So, Bianca's not going to vote him, and all he really has to worry about is Eva and Star at this point.
Oh yeah, and that's assuming Loggy even goes to tribal council. Like
they are. I think that
they've been good.
Out. I think they're the Nami. They're going to be winning every single challenge this season. I think they're going to clean ship. I mean, they dominated both challenges. They're great at puzzles. They're great at physical comps. They got it all. That tribe is going to be really tough to beat. Really tough to beat.
And I think that also just makes it really hard to talk about Bianca and about Star and about the whole tribe, because it's like talking about Liz Wilcox, or Venus. It's like, where they're at and their storyline at the moment, but you just don't know when there's going to be a resolution to it.
I also want to point out, can I point out just fun facts? I mean, this is
point out fun facts.
We already talked about Mary, but I'd like to point out some people who did start fire this season. We have two people that are known to have start fire this season. Joe started fire for the Lagi tribe, and Mary started fire for the Vula tribe. So these are players who have proven that they know their way around Flint and Steel. That can boost their stock. And I'd like, if we're doing a point system, being able to make fire when fire making is still important before season 50, that's really important. The only other person who mentioned that they can make fire is David. He said, I can make fire with bamboo, and they don't have flint. So I'm curious to see if he's all talk or if he can actually make fire without flint. We haven't seen that in a while.
We'll get to that. I just wish we would have seen something about that. Like either him struggling and being like, oh, I can't make fire, like they did with like Rome, or like what they did with Rome, where he is cocky and then he shows up. Honestly, you can just put Rome down for any situation and any archetype, and it makes sense. But I think that's it for Bianca.
Okay.
And that's,
I mean,
do you think Joe and Mary gonna
honestly, I wish we had more to talk about on Bianca. There just wasn't too many confessionals. I feel like when that tribe gets a little bit more in danger, or maybe next episode, we'll start to see a little bit more as to where the dynamics are. It's too simple on that tribe to just say, hey, stars on the bottom, it's going to be straightforward. It's not. Something's going to switch up, and Bianca could go up in the next episode by like a little bit of drama on the island. Who knows?
Oh yeah. And do you concur with this as well before we get to number 11? Do you think the premiere should be 3 hours?
Yeah, I did hear that. I heard that, doctors had to be on call. They popped Kevin's shoulder back into place. I believe the reason why they didn't do that was because of screen time. They wanted to fit it in within 2 hours. It could just be like a CBS scheduling conflict. There might be other shows that they're trying to premiere as well, trying to keep it within 2 hours. Ultimately, the fans would love it.
Just more Survivor.
Yeah, but I don't feel like it's necessary to see that, because I would feel like it's necessary only if Kevin had to be pulled from the game, or if it was an injury that was going to jeopardize his ability to play at that level. What that tells me is that Say's story for this episode was way more important to the overall season, and that Kevin's shoulder isn't going to hold a problem moving forward. Kevin's still been able to win a competition and has still been able to persevere throughout everything, and Kevin hasn't complained at all. So I think Kevin's going to make a full recovery, and ultimately that it would be fun, but it's not going to hold any purpose.
I agree. Speaking of purpose.
Ooh, purpose. Speaking of purpose, what does this lead into?
I actually have no idea. I just keep saying it, and I hope it fits.
Wait, let's talk can I take a guess? I knew it was going to be Mitch. I'm so upset about this. I'm so upset.
What do you think? Mitch is weird. Okay. Mitch is the only player. I actually have Mitch kind of high. I have him at number 7 for me. You have him a little lower.
Mitch is 14, and this is coming from someone who preseason ranked Mitch at 3rd place. Mitch is in a tough spot. However, I ranked Mitch a little bit higher than when you look and you compare to other tribes when I did my tribe ranking specifically. Mitch has a great social game, but we haven't seen Mitch really make those connections yet. And I feel like there's more room to grow. When I stated before about the Siva tribe, when I look at their alliance, I feel like something's going to shake, and they're going to realize that there's a lot bigger threats. I mean, there are bigger threats on that tribe than Charity. And I feel like pulling together a Charity and a Mitch for a vote is going to be essential for them, because Charity is a strong player. Mitch is a strong player. I don't know why they're going to be targeting strong players at the beginning when there are people who are already kind of starting chaos. When the news hits Charity, if Charity ever finds out, I think that's going to probably slap Camilla in the face. Right now, I do think Camilla has a little bit more of the power on that tribe, only because she's the one creating the alliances. She's the one stirring up the information, but she's also got that solidified, pairing with Kyle.
Yeah. Mitch reminds me of Rachel Ongata. And I want your input on this.
I like it. Let's hear it.
Because Mitch is very, I feel like the whole tribe is very strange because the biggest dynamic we've really seen from on Siva is Camilla and Kyle, and then like David. And Mitch isn't really in a form spot, but he's a big enough character where, I mean, Jay, I'm not saying it's likely, but I'd
I
still be
like
down.
Mitch. I like Mitch as a winner pick. I really do. I always think that the biggest characters at the beginning of the game are the least likely to win. And I say that because just like when you're playing Survivor, you only have an uphill battle to go if you're playing so hard at the beginning of the game. It's really hard to reverse and go back. Once you break someone's trust, you break their trust for the rest of the game. And an 18-player game is a long game. 26 days may seem like nothing to us, but when you're out on the island, it's every second of the day. And to be in that position, playing early and being that big character it has more cons than it has pros. I would say it's a risky style of play. And a lot of people play it because they're paranoid or they feel they need to make a big move at the beginning when they don't really have to.
I think with Mitch, though, it's not that he's a big character on the island. I actually think, I mean, he seems well liked by a lot of people. He's integrating himself well. I think he's just a big character. He's getting a lot of exposure. I think what this could mean for Mitch, and I have him low because I don't know about his win equity. I do think there is a chance he can be a losing finalist in this game. He might be third place.
Well, that's what I ranked him as because I feel like Mitch has everything capable. I mean, he has all the things you need to be a great Survivor player. He's got a great story. I feel like he's got a great social game. He's playing under the radar. People immediately on the island probably aren't going to perceive him as a threat. And I feel like it's a stereotype to, the challenges that he's had to overcome in his life. And I love Mitch. I've always been someone who's spoken very highly about him. And I stand by my statement of I don't believe that we've seen the true line in the sand drawn on the Siva tribe. I feel like there's a lot of wiggle room for Mitch and Charity. They may be at the bottom of the list after episode 1, but they have plenty of room to skyrocket up. They have plenty of room. So, I wanted to do that. I wanted to do this thing like the buy how high. Buy Mitch low right now. That is the stock. You want your little stockbroker thing? Buy Mitch low. While he's low on this list, he and Charity have plenty of room to skyrocket.
All right. I wouldn't include Charity. I would include Mitch.
I see Charity. I
don't see the Charity pick, man.
Charity. I am all for her. I love Charity. Well, at least not for Charity. I think Mitch is definitely a great pick. If this was like fantasy or whatnot, or you see the stock, buy it low. Mitch is going to go places in this game. I think that stock is going to boom.
I mean, I agree. Just don't try to throw Charity back in there. You can't just. I mean, but no, I feel like Mitch reminds me a lot of Justin right now, but just more strategically forward and more aware, and I think that only works for Mitch.
You know what? I can see what you're saying with Justin and Mitch. The only difference with their game that I see is that I have yet to see vulnerability from Justin. When I see that, I feel like when Justin becomes more vulnerable in this game, Justin's going to start being able to open up a little bit more and create those genuine alliances that he needs to make in this game. Maybe Justin hasn't found his group of people in this game. Maybe it's not with Vula. Maybe it's with another tribe. But the moment that Justin becomes more vulnerable in this game, he's going to – I feel like he has potential to also become a big player.
Yeah. I could see it. I feel like with Justin, there's a confessional that really scared me. he referenced his job, but he referenced his job in post haste. So he's like, yeah, it's like working at the pizza place. I do inventory, I do that, but there's no introduction to Justin. Well, I feel like Mitch is more defined as a character. And I think that's what squeaks Mitch out a little bit, in my opinion.
No, I hear you.
And I don't think we're going far. I keep forgetting who's on what tribe, admittedly.
I'm really good at memorizing for some reason, and like now I know where everyone is.
I mean, speaking of Justin, we're going over to Cedric now. Who
Cedric is here? Really?
I have Cedric low. I have Cedric really low. I have Cedric at number 15.
Wow. Cedric is at Stephanie's old spot for me. 6th overall.
I don't see it, and I want to know why.
I think that on a tribe like Bula, you want to be on the right side of the votes, and that starts with being on the right side of an idol. So if Cedric, who helped Say find that idol, gave the actual winning word to find it, was there, open. I mean, Cedric seems to be locked in with that alliance, but hasn't really pledged his allegiance towards anyone in particular. If I had to say somebody he should probably pledge allegiance to, it would probably be Say, only because, you helped that, you had that moment, you found the idol with her. Great. Now, I didn't really get to talk about my tribe rankings, but here are my tribe rankings for Vula. I have Cedric at the top. I have Justin underneath, then Kevin, then Say, then Mary. So that's my top 5 ranking of who I think is on the top. I truly believe, unless something really shakes up and they really try to throw a curveball into the mix, Cedric is in the best place. I think he is the calmest. I think he's got a great social game. He is going to be somebody that if I'm on the island with, I don't have to worry about him stirring up paranoia or drama. I feel like he's calm, cool, and collected. He's going to be a straight shooter. And ultimately, I would trust him. So I don't perceive him so much as a threat, but Justin is also in that good spot on that tribe where I don't see them going.
I just don't see Cedric. I don't see Cedric's story at all, though. I think, yes, he's in a good position. I don't know what he did to put himself in that position besides just being an outlier, because, the only reason why we're really talking about this alliance of 4 is because Stephanie and Mary didn't give, say, any information. And so I think with Cedric, it's that a lot of his confessionals, every time we hear him talk, it's about just like, oh, Say found this idol, Say found the advantage. And I think it's more situational than anything else. I feel like Cedric kind of fell into place and it's been working out for him. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think he has a lot of good qualities. It's just, again, I feel like my issue with Siva overall, or not Siva, Vula, is that it feels very, and Siva as well, very passive. And so I feel like when we
think they're wait, okay, I could see the passive because of Kevin and Justin. All right, never mind.
I think Kevin and Mary and Say are like the power players. I think Justin, Cedric, and Stephanie were very passive. Honestly,
I would like to put in a take that I think is going to happen. I think that this tribe is going to be forced to have to pick a side this next go, and they're really going to be tugging and pulling, and that's where I fear for Justin again, because I see him being solely the person who's going to be in the middle again. And it's great to be in the middle, but again, you're being asked for loyalty from people. You got to pick a side at some point. You got to choose. You can't just say you're with everybody. So I'm really curious to see, what side does Justin choose?
Or he becomes Dolly from Vanuatu, which is a crazy pull, by the way.
Oh, no. Getting to the end like that, but you're like, I don't know. It's a long way to play both sides, and it's really hard to do it correctly.
Dolly was the second boot.
Wait, maybe I mixed up with somebody else.
You are. Dolly. So Dolly was basically her only stint in Survivor Vanuatu was she was playing the middle on Yasser way too much, and she didn't commit to a single side. And I mean, again, it was early Survivor, like season 9, so no one really blames Dolly for like not wanting to make anyone mad. But I could see Mitch following that same pathway, and I think that's why I have Cedric over Mitch, is because I think Cedric, not Mitch, Justin. I'm sorry, that's on me.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like Cedric is more locked in because again, I think of
he's probably
the most loyal.
I wouldn't say because I would say it has to be Cedric because I would have said maybe Kevin or Mary. I would say Cedric and Mary actually because they were willing to go to bat for their people. But Kevin, you can't say that you're with Steph and Mary, but then also be with them. So I'd say Cedric and Mary are the most loyal players so far on that tribe. Definitely.
And I also think Justin, when he told say like, hey, like they weren't saying it, like Steph and Mary, they weren't saying anything. Say it was like, what? y'all were talking for a while, dog. What do you mean? And so I think Justin can be in a position where just no one would trust him.
He needs to make those genuine connections. That's why I think, Justin being vulnerable and letting people know something, Justin needs to tell his story. And that's what I feel like we really didn't get in episode 1. And that's important for Survivor players to be able to tell your story. It's what Eva did. Look at what a story can do for your game. You tell it right and you tell it to the right person. You got an alliance for the rest of the game. It's huge, but it works every time. Being yourself and being open out there in front of all the cameras, not just trying to manipulate and trying to make a big move on TV so you look cool. Being real and showing people, hey, this is real life and I came here for the connections. That is what a great Survivor player has. It's a quality that's so hard to find nowadays, and it's why I'm rooting for Eva and Joe.
We'll get to Eva and Joe a lot farther down the line, but we just passed the hour mark, so we're gonna take a quick ad break as well. When we're back, we're gonna be talking David, and there's a comment too that I'm going to point out as to why I actually am about to move David a lot lower. But we're gonna hear from Katie Designs. Take it away, Katie Tedesco.
Hi, Survivor Now podcast listeners. I am Katie from KT Designs, better known as Katie Tedesco Art on both Instagram and Etsy. I have been designing and selling Survivor products for over 7 years at my Etsy shop, including replicas like hidden immunity idols and Survivor trading cards with all of the players' stats on the back. I am so grateful for Survivor Now for giving me this shout out and helping me reach even more super fans. I love listening to their podcast. So if you are looking for some really unique reality TV products for yourself or to give a super fan in your life, come check out my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/KatieTedescoArt.com.
Thank you. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie. I always like the background song to that. I don't know what it is, but like the Royal Free, it's stuck in my head. It gets played at work. Like I hear that song in my head at work sometimes, and I don't know why. But so there's something I want to point out, and it's something I've noticed too. But whenever there's a secret scene,
wait, what? I just looked it up, and there's can we pop that?
I was questioning the buff, man.
Oh, I was pointing this for David, but we'll get there later.
I gotcha.
David attempting to make fire on his own. There was smoke, and he was close, but ultimately was unable to get fire. Maybe he'll get fire in another episode. But like he said that pretty confidently, like he can do it. But all I'm gonna say is villain.
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 I think so. He reminds me of David from Big Brother 15 First Boot. That's who David reminds me of. Maybe it's the name, maybe it's the build, but I think when you say something or when you have a part of your story relegated to a secret scene, I think I lose a lot of trust. And that's something I've noticed a lot. I think I think that happened with Jay Maya from 45, where she had that crazy secret scene in episode 2. And then ever since, it's like she cannot win, because if she did win, they would put that in the real episode. Yeah. It's also why I like really thought Mariah was going to win 46, because she had a whole scene of her trying to jump, only for her to get voted out.
Yeah, I remember that when Charlie was trying to teach her how to jump.
Yeah. And so I feel like David just plummeted down the stocks, and you know, you might want to buy your David stocks now and sell later, but it's a risky move, because David also just seems very one note. He reminds me also of Jonathan from 42, just a strong guy and very aware that he's a strong guy, but also doesn't really build or lead anywhere else. What do you think about David?
I think Jonathan had a better social game. However, David's in a really good spot because he's in a 4-person alliance. However, I think David would be the 4th on that alliance. I think he's at the bottom. I do feel like Chrissy has a better social game and may be able to navigate his way around it. Here's where I think is going to get tricky. I think David's going to try and pull in Kyle, because he mentioned something about that in his confessional, and now Kyle's in a really great spot because he's going to be pulled in from 2 different people on his own alliance. So actually, now that I look at it, this is really bad. I'm going to move Kyle up now that I think about that. I think for the tribe rankings on Siva, Kyle's actually at the top.
Yeah,
I agree. For him to lose that reward but still be at the top, I say this 4-person alliance and 2 people who want to bring him in as a possible number 1 is really good for episode 1, despite not doing it. What I do think is good for Kyle's game is that he has the character to, you know, fill up Kevin's water tank. You don't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. That is respect. That shows a lot. And I hope Kevin's going out to his other tribe and telling everyone what Kyle did, because that's somebody that Kevin can trust, or that's a move that would make me feel good with you. It definitely is good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was going to say too, honestly, the next 3 people are all from Siva. So
really? Oh wow. Okay, so who are we talking about in this case? We have David, we have Camilla, Kyle, and who else?
And Chrissy.
Oh,
so I have Chrissy really low. I have Chrissy at 14.
So then let's just talk about the Siva 4 at this point, that 4-person alliance that's going on. Out of all those people on that alliance, I have Chrissy at the highest. Chrissy is still in my final 3. She is my 3rd overall pick. I think ultimately Chrissy is the best social game on that tribe. And I see Chrissy working with other tribes better. The only reason why I say this more so than everybody else is that I feel like Chrissy would be the one to survive the longest on Siva. But most importantly, if she goes out and meets Joe, and they have that connection between both of them being firefighters, that is an even stronger alliance that can take over this game. I think Chrissy has it all. And I'm so excited that this is the first season in the past 3 seasons that I didn't pick my winner pick as the first boot. So yay, I'm not devastated after the first episode.
I mean, you did put Steph pretty high.
I did put Steph.
You were pretty close. But yeah, no, my fear with Siva overall is they feel very. I feel like their dynamics right now is not going to be their dynamics come episode 4.
Agreed.
I think there's going to be a big change, and I think there's tension brewing. I think they're getting pushed in a lot of different ways, and I'm trying to think of like a tribe where they like maybe Tuku, you know, where it's like they found a lot of success pre-merge, but had a lot of different moving parts, controlled by an alliance of 4 that couldn't really trust each other too much because I don't see the most longevity with the Siva 4.
I don't.
And
There's too many. When you have Camilla and David in a 4-person alliance, that's too many powerhouses trying to fight for power. It's not going to work. There's too many alphas that wanna be top dog in that alliance, and that's why I don't think it's going to work. The thing is that we're not even really discussing is that this is just episode 1 power rankings. If somebody finds an idol on Siva, which again, really stupid, David, don't announce to everybody that you're figuring out puzzles.
it worked out for Marty.
Everybody know what to look for. So now everybody is looking out for that stuff. Anybody can find that idol at this point. Anybody. That's where this game shifts.
Conversely, though, I do think by doing that, I don't think it works out for David now, but I don't think it's the worst idea putting it on blast like that. Because I think what it does is it stifles a lot of gameplay. Think the second boot of Kagayan. I forgot his name. But he basically denied any and all.
You're talking about the Brain Tribe.
The Brain Tribe.
I think I remember
Garrett. Garrett just stifled all gameplay and all strategy talk. And when you do something like this, it makes it a lot harder to have people talk game, because the easiest way to really build gaps strategically is either throwing someone under the bus, which has huge ramifications, as we saw with Charity, or you go to someone about an idol, and that's what we saw Say do to Justin, and that caused them to have a bond. And so when David says, hey, there's an idol, it becomes a lot harder for people to really talk unless it's about David. And if David has that alliance of 4, then no one's going to be talking about David anyways. People are just going to be mildly annoyed, and they'll be like, why did David do that? But if he has the bonds, then he survives. I just think he doesn't have the story. And I think that's where we converge, is because I think you're focused on what's happening on the island. I'm focusing on how it's shown to us.
Yeah. I try to see where the narrative is going and predict the outcome of what's going to happen. I like to try and think, okay, if this is what we've been shown episode 1, let's play chess. How is it going to look 3, 4, 5 moves down the line? If we move this piece, how is that going to try and capture my queen? Or how am I going to move my pieces up to try and checkmate and see who's going to come out on top? It's really going to become a lot more clear when we see where those other idols are found. I'm just happy that it's easy idol search this year, not the one idol for one tribal, the 2 tribals, 3. I look, keep it Final 5, find the idol. We don't need all these steps. It's just too much.
I mean, I feel like as New Era goes on, it's been going back to its roots while also keeping the New Era-ness. Like, I don't know, I think of Survivor 44. I thought that was a really cool and fun twist to bring in that still felt very old school Survivor while also bringing in the New Era. And then I feel like just over time, the last few seasons have been very old school-esque. And I think every single season we're like, this reminds me of either old school Survivor, Survivor Gabon, or something.
Yeah.
But we're about to get to Shaheen in a minute, but I want to talk Camilla in particular.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we talked about everyone else, but where do you rank her in terms of everyone else?
With my Siva 4 or whatever that alliance is, I had Chrissy at 3, I had Camilla at 9, Kyle at 10. Well, actually, let me repeat. Chrissy at 3, David 8, Camilla 9, Kyle 10. So I had them pretty much collapsing. It's just really hard to see it because, like, we're only seeing a major alliance, but we know that 2 of them want to play a chaotic game. Camilla, your game is going to bite you later down the line, because when people compare notes on on stuff like that. It's just trying, if you're going to play a strategy of, pinning the enemy on somebody else, people are going to see you as someone stirring the pot. And when you're on the island, you're stirring the pot is just going to create a lot more chaos, and people are afraid of chaos.
Yeah.
When I say that I think that the dynamics are going to shift on that tribe, I say it because I'm predicting that Camilla is actually going to get caught by Charity, hearing all this stuff that Camilla is preaching behind her back, and they're going to pin the target on Camilla. That's what I'm thinking. So I think Camilla's game, it's playing hard at the beginning. The question is, will she get caught? That's going to be the hard part.
I don't even think her getting caught will mean much, because I think the only reason why she's throwing Charity under the bus is because she had that established duo with Kyle. So imagine if you're Kyle, right? And Charity's coming to you like, hey, like Camilla's stirring the pot. Kyle's going to be like, how? She's going to be like, well, I went to her, but one of you gone, and she threw me under the bus. Kyle's going to be like, what? And I think Camilla can use that and say, like, I didn't want to stir the pot like that. I trusted Kyle more than I trusted Charity. And so I wanted to form a counter alliance because Charity was the one who really initiated a lot of game strategy. It was Camilla who responded. And so I do agree to an extent, because she does seem like someone who wants to play very hard and very aggressive, but she's doing it with nuance. And I think the nuance is clear, and it's explained to us why she's making the moves she's making. And for that, I think she's in the best position on Siva, except for maybe Kyle. But narratively, I think Camilla is in the best spot on Siva.
I feel like it really depends on where those under the radar players lie, like Mitch and Chrissy. Those are the big players here that can really switch up the dynamics. If they can catch on to Camilla's antics, it's players like Chrissy and Mitch who can turn the tides and make it so that they're on the top and not just following Camilla's lead. I think eventually at some point, Camilla and David, there will be a bickering between the both of them, and they will create shields for everyone else when everyone else is fighting their war. So I think that's what's gonna get them, is that they're fighting for that power. It's going to happen at some point. It's just who's gonna win in the end.
I want to say Camilla over David. Because I think just if you down the line, like right before the merge, who's a bigger threat? David or Camilla?
If they make it there,
if they make
it there. But you make a great point. If both of them we're going to make it to merge, Camilla definitely survives over David. However, on this tribe, if they go to tribal at least twice, Camilla could be an option on that second tribal. Definitely.
100%.
You said Shaheen is next?
I lied. My pen was covering number 5. That's my fault. Same average, though. Same average. We're talking Joe.
What?
Yeah.
What? Why is Joe here?
Because I have Joe pretty low.
Where is Joe?
I put Joe number 8, dog.
What? Joe is my winner pick. After episode 1.
Episode 1 winner pick?
Is my winner pick. I disagree. Joe comes in. You have this stereotype. You have this guy who is huge, who looks like he is the strongest person on your team, but he turns out to be the most likable, the most social, the most humble person on this entire cast. For him to have a social game to make Eva feel comfortable enough to go to him and be so vulnerable to tell him that information, for him to say in his confessional, I got her. That's a hero. That's a hero.
Okay. I would like to apologize to Joe, because I do think that I wrote off Joe, and I was not expecting
I wrote him off
this.
Too.
Because Joe, I think the way I looked at Joe is how I how I look at Cedric now. And I think how I wanted to view Cedric is how I should have looked at Joe. I didn't realize how good of an impression he would have made. I also just don't think that we expected Ava and Joe to link up the way they did, which is on us, honestly. But I do think Joe's problem, it's not where he's at in the game. I think this was a great episode 1 for Joe. I think his story is so intertwined with Ava's story right now. And I think with Ava, we heard about her and we learned from her. I think Joe's falling on the sword. Straight up.
I hope not. I mean, he did say in his confessional, and I hope that that's not like foreshadowing the fact that he's going to sacrifice his game for her. I'm hoping that the both of them, here's where I say my final 3 after episode 1, Joe, Eva, Chrissy. I hope that those 2 take each other to the end and they say, screw it. I don't need to die on the sword. I will take you as far as possible. And we're going to see a duo unlike any duo we've ever seen in the game of Survivor. Honestly, if that is the narrative that they're going to show us this season, this will probably be, it feels like Survivor just keeps changing. It just keeps getting better and better and better.
I think part of it too is that it just feels too good and too there and too tangible.
I don't want to cry. I will cry if Joe leaves. Like, I feel like I will actually be emotional if Joe leaves.
I'd be emotional too. And it just feels too good. And I think I was kind of hoping that there'd be a buildup. I was hoping that they would have that JT and Steven early game relationship, and then later on. I understand why Ava wanted to open up, and obviously, like, editors can't just like hide Ava opening up.
Yeah,
that's what I mentioned.
Pretty big piece of the story, I feel like.
And obviously, it's like what I mentioned too, where it's like a lot of the emotional beats don't happen at the climax; it happens at the intro, and that's how we're introduced. And I love Joe's complete 180 because you would think he'd be like a rough and tough guy. And I love when, like,
going to be a villain. I perceived him preseason. Why I had him so low was because I thought he was going to have this personality where he was going to try so hard to be the leader and order people around. But he actually, symbolizes. I mean, not even symbolize. That's not even the right word. He embodies what it's like to be a leader. He's not somebody who comes in and says, I want to be a leader. He's somebody who shows that he's a leader. And that is why he has so much respect by everyone else in that tribe. I feel like Joe is in the best position. My top 3 for Loggy, I have Joe over Thomas. I think that Joe and Thomas are at the top only because they're in that California Girls Alliance with a +1 on the outside. But I do feel like the stronger connection here is the Joe Eva connection. I honestly feel like when you go to a confessional and you say in your moment of truth, your moment of honesty to the camera, I got her, you're not going to go back on your word. He's a loyal player. Yeah. He's in it. But
there's a such thing as too loyal. I do think Joe is in the best position on Loggy, straight up. I don't think there's no disagreeing. He's in the Alliance of 3, and he has the tighter of the duos between, Bianca and Thomas, and then Shaheen and Star don't really have a duo like that. I feel like Joe is too loyal. I think Thomas would cut Bianca to further his game. I don't think Joe would. And I think Shaheen, we'll get to Shaheen too in a minute. I think sometimes not having a number 1 can work out. And I actually have a crazy pool that I thought of, like, when we were talking about Stephanie. Okay. And it's, you have to bear with me on this one. I know you would like it.
I'll bear with you.
But Joe, I love Joe a lot. And him being number 8 for me isn't indicative of how I view him as a character, especially because I was not expecting to like be emotional. Yeah. But it just punched me right in the gut.
I like Joe. I think I wasn't honestly, I can't say that I was expecting to like him as much as I did after that premiere. That premiere made him
Oh,
the
hero.
one I'm gonna root for the rest of the season. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna be on this show this season. I'm gonna be very high on Joe. I'm gonna be
Very high on Joe.
I'm gonna be very high on Joe. Like
Yeah.
he's somebody like that's another stock. I don't think you can buy him low right now, but you know, I would keep him. He's a keeper.
It's like buying Tesla. It's like buying Google stock. It's like, yeah, you buy it.
He's like you're not getting any profit from buying Joe at this point. But if you have him, hold him.
Well, can I also just say too, honestly, this is really early to say. I really, really like the Logi tribe right now.
I do. They're the most dominant. They can do puzzles faster than everybody else. They can do comps faster than everybody else. They are the tribe to beat. They've shown that they have the puzzle capabilities, that they have the strength capabilities. There's a lot more challenges that are going to come in the way. Let's see when they can swim. Can they swim? Are they good swimmers?
Probably.
But I do think that,
Oh yeah.
You have so many strong players. There is not I don't think that there's really a weak link. I know that Thomas said that in his confessional. You're asking, am I the weak link? But I really don't think that there are any weak links on Logi. There's nobody who's really holding that tribe down, which makes me think that tribal is only going to be a lot harder. When they go to tribal for the first time, that's going to be a very tough decision, even if you vote out Star. There's no weak links because Star's a basketball player. I mean, Star's got strength too. That's like Logi is the most brawn tribe that we've probably seen since Braun. Like, it's the most.
I'd say they're more brawn than brawn.
It is a brawn tribe. It really is a brawn tribe.
Because even like Wrong Braun, like they did the
I take it as, oh my God, crackpot theory. Logi is brawn, right? Logi is brawn. Siva is beauty, and Valu, right? Valu, am I?
Siva.
No. I'm missing. Vula, and Vula is brain. Brain for finding the idol, Logi for the strength, Siva for the beauty. All their players are beautiful, but I love Charity the most.
But it's also rare for such a dominant tribe to be so likable too. Like, I wasn't the biggest Reba fan. I was a Lulu fan.
Reba. Oh, you were Lulu? I liked Bello, Jaco Kane all the way. Love Jake.
I mean, I was a Tika fan, and then I have the Lulu buff. Didn't buy one for 46 or 47. Or no, I bought a Siga buff.
So yellow is like my least favorite color. So I had trouble buying all the yellow buffs. I think Gata was my first yellow buff that I've ever got.
I was going to get a Gata buff because Rachel's my winner pick. But that's besides the point. Let's talk Shaheen now.
Shaheen. So I think we said this for preseason rankings. I still stay true to it. I think Shaheen is the best person on the Logi tribe to find an idol. So I think that there's room to work. Where did you list Shaheen? Because Shaheen was very high for the both of us. Shaheen was a winner pick and a 2 for us preseason.
So Shaheen, he is 4th between both of us.
Oh wow.
The only reason why, actually, I should have had Joe higher than Shaheen because Joe had a higher individual ranking with you.
Yeah.
But that's my fault.
Well, I had Shaheen 3rd on his tribe, but 4th overall in the power rankings, only because I just predict that, Joe and Thomas would get taken out before Shaheen.
Yes.
I still rank him high. It's just that I don't know why Shaheen doesn't make the finals at this point. I think it's just,
okay, that's a little bold.
No, I mean, like in terms of like my preseason ranking, like trying to figure out where I think they place. I think I just listed Ava and Joe higher than Shaheen, because I just think that is the strongest connection on that tribe. And I think
Yeah.
something that Shaheen, I don't know if this is appropriate to say. It's not that he lacks it. It's just that he doesn't have it. You know, I feel like Star and him are the only two that really don't have the one person that they can go to. If they can switch that up and maybe create a duo out of this on the next episode, maybe that might get Star and Shaheen a little bit farther in this game. It's going to be dependent on who finds this idol the next episode.
I mean, here's a hot take for you.
Okay.
You ever see Big Brother 12 with the Brigade?
I don't know if I watched a lot of Big Brother. I watched a few seasons, but I couldn't name you what season they were. I can just tell you what characters won. I'm not a big I grew up on Survivor.
It's Hayden Moss's season.
I don't think I
with
well, I know that Hayden won because Hayden was dating a Survivor player. Yeah.
Yep. And they were on Blood versus Water.
Yeah.
But he was on season 12, and the alliance was the main strategy of the game revolved around an alliance of 4, and 3 of the 4 members, they all had a +1, and they would just pick off the +1s as time goes on, and they would just steamroll, except for one person, Enzo. Enzo didn't have
Enzo, actually. I remember Enzo. Jersey boy. I loved Enzo.
Jersey boy.
Yeah.
And Enzo, he didn't have a number 1 that he could cling on to, but he was loved by everyone else. He was everyone's number 2. And I think Shaheen could be everyone's number 2. And it's never about, sometimes it's not about being someone's number 1. It's just not being on the bottom.
Agreed.
Like, I think Ava would value Shaheen over Thomas. I think
the perfect place you want to be, like when you're looking at a ranking, is you want to be right in the middle. You never want to be on the top, because if you're on the top, everybody wants to take out the person on the top, but you never want to be on the bottom because you're always the next one to go. If you're right in the middle and you're always finding yourself to be in the middle, those are the people who survive. You like, think about it. If there's 6 names on a list, right? We go after all of them. I'm looking at them right now. You got Joe at the top, Thomas, Shaheen, Eva, Bianca, and Star. Shaheen is 3rd. That's like top of the middle. That's exactly where you want to be, because you're in the majority, you're right there, and you're not going to get targeted. It's exactly where you want to be. I think Shaheen's in a great spot. He's got to get some more leverage, though. Let's build a resume. I think now's the time to find the idol.
That, and also I just think that if the California girls do break up, then both Joe and Thomas, they're going to want Shaheen.
They are. That's a great point. No matter what, it puts Shaheen probably in the best position, because I've been talking all night about how I'm seeing Joe and Thomas having this eventual duel of which number 1 is going to be the sole number 1 to be added. But it's going to be Shaheen that they're going to go to. Shaheen is Loggy's Justin. He's the one in the middle who's going to have to be the deciding tiebreaker on who gets the power on this tribe.
And I see Shaheen pulling it off, unlike Justin.
Well, Shaheen, this is bad. I mean, we've seen enough from both of them, but I feel like Shaheen's shown a little more personality. I still need to see more from Justin. It's not a knock on Justin's character. I just don't feel like Justin really got a justifiable first episod edit.
I got that one. That one was a little.
I just don't feel like he's really. I don't feel like he really had a lot of his personality shown. So I think that there's more to see from Justin. I'm waiting for that moment of vulnerability where I can really start to get why Justin was brought onto the show. What story does he have? Survivor does that all the time. They show people's stories later down, first 4 episodes. I'm curious to see what Justin's story is.
And before we go to the last before we go to last Loggy member, do you think that Shaheen will find the Loggy idol, or do you think someone else will? Because I think Ava will find it.
I'm going to tell you why I think it's Shaheen. And this is only going from what the preview showed us for next episode. Shaheen looked to be running down a pathway. You don't run in Survivor ever unless you're finding something or you're trying to hide from somebody. So I truly think that an idol in Logi is going to be found. And I think the one person or the two people who are going to be looking for it is Star and Shaheen. I truly think that. Because those are the two people that, Shaheen's still in there, but he doesn't have that number one. And Star's probably going to feel like they're on the bottom unless Star finds the idol and tries to bring somebody else in. I think the two front runners to find the idol, unless somebody just happens to walk up on it, is probably Star or Shaheen. That's probably my two guesses.
Yeah, and Star 2 was shown finding the idol. But we have
Star was shown finding the idol?
Not finding that, looking for the idol. That's
well, she was looking. She was looking.
And I think that too could also just lead to Shaheen being like, all right, if Star's looking, going to the California girls like, hey, like Star's looking. We need to look too. And I think that could lead to Shaheen finding the idol because he goes to the California girls like, hey, we need to do something.
He finds the idol and blames Star. Like, blame Star.
I'm saying is like he goes to the alliance like, hey, Star's looking. We need to look too, and then he finds it and then blames Star. I feel
like Shaheen would be in a good position to pull that off too. Say, hey, listen, I didn't find it, and he had it. Can you pull up that last comment? I want to read it.
Yeah, I was about to pop it back up until you're done, but I was hoping Ava would do that too. That's why I think she could find it. I think she's the type of player who would just like stumble upon something and be like, oh, okay.
And if she does find it, then she's definitely going to tell Joe, I feel like. Was that they will definitely know, and it will be, I think they would be immediately the most powerful duo in the game by far, like by a long shot, if both of them have that information. The idol information in my opinion, boosts your stock up. The only reason why the Vula members aren't as high on my list is because Say told everyone about it. And the only person on that tribe who doesn't know about the idol after episode 1 is Mary. So I think that really decreases the value of the idol's power, because the thing about the idol is it's only more powerful the less people that know about it. The more secretive it is, the better. The more powerful it is. But it's so hard for people to keep their mouths shut. That's why it was so pivotal that Rachel didn't tell anybody about the idol and just played it out of nowhere.
And I mean, speaking of not speaking of Rachel, but speaking of Vula, let's talk Kevin.
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about Kevin yet.
We haven't talked. We barely talked.
We haven't even talked about Kevin yet.
Kevin is the highest.
You have him at what, 3?
Yeah.
Okay, I have him at 5. So we're right around there.
Yep, 3-5. Yeah, no, but it's after Kevin, it's Camilla for the highest ranking. By the way, the 5 of the top 6, or 5 of the top 5, or 4 of the top 5 is just from Logi. That's how dominant of a tribe they are right now.
Well, yeah, they really had they had a great first episode. If you're on the Logi tribe, you're feeling pretty happy after that first episode, because a lot of the fans too are talking highly about your tribe. So that's really good for you as a player, just your stock in general at the beginning of the season. So we're talking Kevin.
I think he has it. I think
he has it only because I feel like on Vula, he's played that middle game, but he's got that true number 1. I don't feel like he's going to be taken out next. I mean, he's got 2 ins, right? He's got this 4-person alliance. We'll put that on the side, but the 2 ins are his sort of, in the middle status with Justin, being able to kind of check in with Justin and say, hey, we know our spot in this tribe. Maybe we can work together and just be on the same side so that we're always, on the right side of the votes. Then there's the Mary Alliance, which I feel like is the most genuine on that tribe. I don't see anybody else really, going to bat for anyone else besides Kevin and Mary. But I think Kevin has the social game. I think Kevin,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and I don't want to be inappropriate by saying this, I think that Kevin is the strength on that tribe. He is the one player that needs to be kept if you're valuing strength.
And not just physically too, but just morale as well. Kevin, there's a throwaway confessional, and I want to bring light to it. And I'm sorry for cutting you off too, but Mary called Kyle a golden retriever. So
I
the
did hear
Kyle
that.
is very
I did hear
well
that.
liked, and that is a crazy thing to just blur out. And it was inconspicuous enough to where that's where I put all of my Kevin stock, is that one single confessional, because I think that sets up Kevin to be under the radar in a tribe that seems very dysfunctional. Because I
Oh,
think
it is.
Vula and Siva are both just very chaotic right now.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of the coming and going on Vula is going to revolve around Say and what she does and what she wants. And I think Mary's going to respond to it. And then Justin and Cedric, they're going to kind of land where they land. I think Kevin's the only person who is in a good enough spot, understands his position, and isn't rustling any feathers. And I think he's taking a little bit from everyone around him. And I think he's taken the middle from Justin, dependability from Cedric, awareness from Mary, and also the strategic bite from Say. And I think that's making Kevin a great player.
I
I can even flip
love the
you
way
off
that you
like
just
that.
like worded that.
Thank
I love the way you worded it. I
Thank
think
you.
for me with Kevin, my decision to put him at 5 was because I thought if Kevin can make it to the merge, or let's put it this way, 47, we didn't have a tribe swap. We didn't.
Yeah.
It was original tribes up until merge, which was very rare. We don't really get to see a lot of seasons like that. So I'm suspecting that Survivor is going to shake it up, and we're going to see at least a tribe swap for this season. If Kevin can get the dynamic switched around, I don't think he'll be the next to go. But if he makes it to emerge, there are a lot bigger threats out there than Kevin. People are going to look to Kevin as an ally, and I think that's what's going to get him far. He was dealt a bad hand by getting onto a messy tribe, but if he can survive this tribe, he will go far in this game.
And real quick too, now they're talking about tribe swap. Do we think that there's going to be one? Was there one announced before season 45 got announced, or was it just right before the episode? Because I can't remember.
I don't know. What do you mean by like with that? I'm sorry.
So like, when Survivor 45 was first airing, did we know before the season started that there would be a swap?
No,
or
I
was
think
it just a
they
leak
just show
thing?
it. They just show it the episode of. They don't
Yeah,
tell you. So like
yeah.
47
So it's possible.
Well, I mean, 47 was, if I'm correct, the first season and 2 seasons that didn't have a tribe that was getting completely decimated.
Yes.
I mean, 44 we had Tika, 45 we had Lulu, 46 we had Yanu. And then there's this season 47 where, you know, it seems like everybody's getting evenly taken out. Lava was like the tribe that was losing the most, but everybody lost a member. You know, Gata lost Annika, and then Lavo lost Rome, and they lost Kishan, and they lost Aisha, and then, you know, they lost TK on Tuku. So, you know, I think this is a season where we're going to see a tribe swap. I do believe that there is.
You're muted, by the way.
Sorry.
You're
I
good.
do believe that there is a
Like
there's a
swap
path
adjacent?
that Vula is going to go down where I think that they're going to lose a lot in the future if they keep it up. I think that it's a dysfunctional tribe. They need morale.
Yeah.
But Kevin,
I mean, I always thought that with Gata too, though. And Gata, like, because Gata episode 1, they looked like a mess. Because it's like Andy was flipping out. John Levette just got sniped out of nowhere. And, you know, Rachel was like, what's going on? Annika, I thought, had some villainous moments. And Sam and Sierra, they're just like, what? So I wouldn't count out Vula just yet. Because miracles happen.
anything can happen.
And plus two, if there is a swap, then I think a Pagani will be, or a tribe dysfunction will be less severe. You
Okay.
know, it's like how we don't really talk about Malolo from from Ghost Island. Like when we think of dysfunctional tribes, I think we always think of like Lulu, we think of Oolong. We don't think of tribes that are dysfunctional after a swap or an expansion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know. Fula, they're not really showing that they're together like Logi is. Like you
Yeah.
could still be against people on your tribe, but you're still ready to go to win when time comes. I don't feel like Vula has that morale that the other tribes have. And that's something that can be really important at the beginning of a season.
Oh yeah. And speaking of importance, I think it's time we talk about the top two. Do you know who number one is for both of us and number two is?
Well, I mean, I listed Joe as my winner. So I'm looking at the top three and I see two people that aren't there. So I'm going to have to say, I think the number two probably is going to be Chrissy. Would it be Chrissy?
No, Chrissy's number 7.
Wait, no, I thought we were talking about average. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Yeah, the average of number 1 and number 2. The two players we haven't talked about yet.
I don't know. What is it?
So number 2 is Thomas.
Oh my. We haven't talked about Thomas yet?
We haven't talked Thomas yet.
Oh,
it's been a long podcast.
Thomas is low for me. I feel like I have Thomas at number 7. So,
yep. So
I
will say in terms of the averages, Ava's number 2, like that's her average ranking because we both have her number 2. The second highest is 4th, which is a tie between Thomas, Shaheen, and Kevin. And then Joe is ranked 4.5. All the way in. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's kind of why that Thomas, Kevin, and Shaheen are so high. But we can talk. We can start with. I feel like Ava we have the most to say about, because Thomas we kind of talked about and referenced a lot, and there's a lot more to Ava that I wanted to bring up.
Of course, I feel like just to talk about Thomas just for 1 second, the last thing that I'd really say about Thomas's game is that I do think that the reason why he's gonna go far, but he's gonna get taken out because of the social butterfly kind of ability that he has to be able to connect with everybody and fit in with everybody. He's going to be targeted for that. And when people compare notes that he's good with everybody and that he has the ability to get along with everybody, it's going to hurt. If everyone from Logi goes to a tribe swap and says, oh, well, I feel good with Thomas. And then another person, I feel good with Thomas. I feel good with Thomas. Everybody's going to be like, well, everybody feels good with Thomas. Take out Thomas. Take him out. Like,
but I feel like Thomas isn't who they're going to mention though. Ava's going to say that she's good with Joe. I think Joe's going to say that he's good with Ava, because I think the California girls want to keep that alliance a secret, right? I think they want to keep that under wraps. I think Thomas is going to say he's good with Bianca. Bianca's going to say yes, I'm good with Thomas, and then it's really up to Shaheen, because then he can say either Joe or Thomas or even like someone random like Bianca. To relate to people off there. And that's if they try to lie about that. I think with Thomas is that he is very important to the narrative, especially during the first half of the Yagi tribe. Yagi? No, Logi, sorry. I'm thinking the Yanu.
Good. We're still learning.
All the other. There's so many new era tribes that are 4 letters. We need a 5-letter tribe name stat. But yeah, no. Thomas also, episode 1 broke down to everyone he was with on his tribe. He said, you know, we have Shaheen, who's a Greek god. We have Joe, who's a fire marshal, stars a basketball player. I'm on the bottom, clearly. I'm the weak link. And there's a lot of comedic moments that I think get disguised as a lot of his storyline. So there's a lot of him being like, I didn't think that I would gel so well with Shaheen and Joe. I didn't realize I'd be like a bro in this game. And I think that's setting us up for a character moment down the line. Yeah. And I think we got just enough of Thomas to where we will see him grow as a player and character. Or it does the 180 where I actually see him being like Tevin if I'm wrong. I see him as being the social, but because like that's what Tevin was on Nami, and then going into the merge of 46, where people are like, everyone's go with Tevin, we need him gone. I see Thomas having a very similar finish if that's his trajectory.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like Thomas.
Me too.
I hope that if he is to go far in this game, he has a player like Bianca to have his back and that they survive. Again, that's all dependent on who can find the idol. If you can find the idol, you can really switch the dynamics around. That changes everything in the game.
Not just that too, but Thomas is my number 1 overall, and I'm also just rooting for Thomas, I think, the most. I think he makes me laugh, and I think laughter is what we need more in Survivor and in this world.
Thomas was definitely a low stock. I think I had him at 15 preseason.
You had him way too low.
He skyrocketed. He went.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
I mean, like I needed to be able to see how people were playing the game and their personalities, how they presented themselves within the tribe. And Thomas right now, if we were ranking this, if this was, Survivor Social Hour and we were talking about social, I would say Thomas is definitely, the social butterfly of the episode. 100%. He has the best social game.
I'd play the clip, but I don't want Tegwith to be mad at me. So I don't think they play the crackpot graphic.
No.
But yeah, and I know this has been a very long podcast. But we have one more person.
Let's talk about it.
That's Ava, who I think is the main character of the season. Straight up. I loved her too. I think her and Thomas are definitely just my top 2. Like, it's hard. Ava's just so rootable. She's like a likable Brandon Hance.
Ava brought out the most vulnerability on episode 1. Ava came out there and played the game, but played the game in a very different way. And, there's a lot of players who want to come out in the new era and say, I want to play the game by helping orchestrate a blindside or create an alliance or find an idol. And the best players are the ones who play like a Kenzie or a Rachel type of game that drop information that help them get farther. But it's not information that's game related. It's being themselves. It's being able to open up and have a conversation with somebody to make somebody feel like you're there for them. And what Ava did was come out and say, this is something that I struggle with in my everyday life. And if you ever see me struggling and you ever see me going through this, just, squeeze my hands or hold my shoulders and just tell me it's going to be all right. Like, that was such a huge moment. And if you're in the game of Survivor and you have a moment like that, that's so rare, you have somebody. And it's so hard to find a connection like that. Cause I bet you Joe is like in a mindset, like I have somebody, like, and I know that I have them. Like, I know that I will have her back and I will fight for her. Joe is literally the perfect person to choose her for an ally. Yeah.
I think we were all thinking that, and thank you, Jay, for verbalizing. Yeah.
I said that preseason. I felt that Ava was going to be somebody with this cast in particular, that somebody was going to see Ava as a sister or a daughter to somebody, that somebody was going to have that relationship. We've seen that, right? We've seen Maria and Charlie's relationship, kind of like a mother-son kind of duo going on. We saw Caroline and Sue. We saw, I guess Mama J could be considered one to like Dee and Austin. Like, I
mean, Jam Carson, even if you just look at the finale.
Like, the new era is filled with so many kind of like these parental figures. Like, we have like an older player playing with a younger player that have a connection that's just like unmatched. And I think that it's important to have that.
And it's not overbearing. Like, I feel like Ava, it's like the opposite of what I said with Joe. Because Joe, I felt like it was too squeaky clean, too perfect. Ava felt very natural. And I feel like it was a big part of the episode, but I think it's not like how I viewed a lot of the intro packages from New Era Survivor. Like back in season 41, 42, 43, it's like I feel like they were trying to make them inorganic, and so I just felt like, oh, here's another sob story. Let's just click through. But Ava felt very compelling because she came out the gate already saying like, this is who I am. And then we saw her make alliances. There's also this small moment where like the California girls were like talking, and she just walks up like, hey, y'all want some coconut? And it reminded me of the very infamous confessional where Coach was talking about blindsiding Brandon Hance. And Brandon Hance just walks up like, hey, you want some coconut? Which I think the only person to think of that connection. But yeah, no, Ava is our number one. Number two for both of us, which I think is very fitting. I think she's going to be a main character, no matter what. If she wins, loses, or otherwise, she is the Emily Flippin of 45. She's the Q of 46.
That's a bold statement.
Well, I don't mean like, you know what I mean. Not in terms of like what happens. Like, I'm not saying she's going to flip out like Q, but like if I had to choose a face of Survivor 46, it's Q. If I had to choose a face of 45, it's Emily. If I had to choose a face for 44, it's Carolyn. I think Ava's going to be the main character.
You think she's going to be the main character?
Yep.
I see a lot of main characters. There's a lot of main character energy. There's a lot of big personalities this season. I think that Ava has the best chance of being the main character only because I see her story. And you know what? Out of everybody on episode 1, Eva has been the only person to really own her game. She came into this and she said, I'm not going to be somebody who I'm not. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to find somebody who can help me feel more comfortable to be myself out here, to let me know that it's okay to be me, to let someone in on your struggles. And it's okay, because being vulnerable is the most, I would say, honestly, the most important thing that a Survivor player needs. Vulnerability and the ability to tell a story is what is going to help people get farther. It's what's going to build connections. But like Jay is saying, like, I know that Shaheen feels like a main character. The reason why I see him as a main character, but I don't see him going as far as others, is because Shaheen needs that genuine connection. He needs to be vulnerable to somebody. And some players can play the game without being vulnerable, but if you do that, it's really hard to win. We've seen people who've done that. I don't think Tony's really ever been vulnerable when he's played the game. I think he's just cutthroat.
I think we just don't see it, because I think of like Kage-yan, like Trish was saying, like, Tony, you swore on your dead father. Is that worth it?
Tony didn't care.
I think Tony did. You see the look, like his face shifted, like he was just like. But no, I think Shaheen is going to be the main strategist, or one of the main strategists. I think it's like D is not the main character of 45, but D is the main player of 45.
Yeah.
But Emily Flippin, I think, is the biggest character.
Emily will probably come back. Here's the thing.
No, she doesn't want to.
There's so many good characters you can bring back, honestly, from that season in particular.
Just bring back Greg Buis.
Who?
Exactly.
What?
Greg Buis from Survivor Borneo?
Yeah, now I remember who Greg is, but like really? I think I have one of his playing cards from like the Survivor card game, vintage Survivor shop, I think. Ooh. Like back when they came out, find the signed one by like Richard Hatch. Like
that, I would pay money for that, actually, unironically, of a Greg Buis.
Somebody has it.
The blonde guy.
The blonde guy, literally the blonde guy. I will send you a picture later tonight, Will, of my card of Greg. I will.
But Josh, I think that's it, man. We're coming on the 2-hour mark, which, you know what?
There's a lot to talk
about. Better than I thought.
There's a lot to talk about for this season. Like, this is a good season. There's a lot to be excited for. Like, if I'm a Survivor fan, or if I'm not a Survivor fan, now's the time to watch because like people are playing more than ever. This season started out hot. It started out chaotic. People came to play. And, as much as I hate to say, why are you coming out this game so hard? Thank you for that. Because honestly, you have set the tone for this season and have made it so that this season is just going to be chaotic. Every episode, I see every episode being chaos on every tribe. Every tribe has their own little chaotic player. Every single one. And it's
if
great.
it's not a chaotic player, then I still feel like it's going to be like there's tension brewing.
There's a war coming, and there's a war coming on literally episode 1. And I see all these little narratives that are going to happen. And I, as a fan, am so excited for what's to come.
Anywho, Josh, I believe this is it. All the time we have tonight.
All right.
And to the viewers, I think Saturday, 3 p.m. You have got something for you, which I shout out to Matt, by the way. Me and Matthew, we did the Big Brother podcast for one season. Great guy, and Ollie and Phil are also amazing. And Ollie is the funniest person on the podcast, except for maybe Josh now. Josh has the puns, but Ollie makes me feel bad. Ollie will make fun of me in his British tone. And because he's British, I just have to sit there and take it. And then Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Survivor Social as well. Tigwith and Kara. Kara is also amazing. Tigwith is also amazing. And then next week as well is the Survivor After Show. And then us. And also Survivor AU recap. Have you been watching Survivor Australia?
Only the first episode, so I'm not caught up, but wow. The first 5 minutes of that Braun tribe. What?
I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know.
Oh, you have to watch. I'll just say one player goes back to camp, first 5 minutes on their camp.
Oh no, that's today.
Wow.
It's today, 10 p.m. Sorry, I was reading the email.
So they're right now. They just started.
They just started.
They just started. So if
looks like we gotta head out.
Go to them.
Yep. If you want more Survivor, go to Survivor Australia recap, and I believe that is it.
That's it. We'll see you next week.
All right.